Good morning guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. Quick final update on the Two-Rock, is this the Studio Pro 22? I can't remember which one this is now. Yeah, the Studio Pro 22. All fixed and sorted, up and running, great. Recap is done. You can see on the scope, got a lovely output sine wave. Do you remember we thought we had an issue with the input socket? It wasn't actually the input socket that was cutting out. It was my jack plug on my signal generator. So I popped another one on and that's all now sorted. The amp's running great. No issues with it whatsoever. It's currently putting out 15 volts RMS into 8 ohms, which is 28 watts. So it's really? Yeah, 28 watts. So way more than 22 it's rated for. 28 watts out of a set of 6v6s. That's insane. Right, anyway, I'm really happy with this. It sounds great. It plays great. The owner's going to be really happy with it. The other amp, I cannot find a problem with it. The other Two-Rock, the one that you brought in, the Vintage Deluxe, I think it is, the big one, it just works. I cannot get that thing to play up whatsoever. So he's not collecting both of these amps for another week, so I'm going to keep testing that one. But there's nothing to show you because it just doesn't play up. It runs and sounds great. I wonder if he had an issue with, you know, a cable or a pedal or something like that, but there's certainly no problem that I can find with it. So apart from this one needing a recap and a service and a general going through, and this is the one he's keeping anyway, yeah, we'll call that one done. Hello. Right, nothing exciting really. I've just finished up another Ainsley Lister signature board. Just giving the thing a haircut on the backside. So I am steaming through these builds. I've got loads to do, which is great, but I haven't got a lot of time because we've got a lot of problem with my renewed cabinet supply. My improved cabinet supply from Zilla is that they're coming through very quickly, and I need, which is a good thing, but I've got loads of amps to build, and the problem is I don't have the space here for all these cabinets that are arriving. So I'm trying to get loads of stuff done and out the door. It's not just Ainsley Sigs, it's loads of other amps as well. So those who are waiting for amplifiers, and I've told you that I'm waiting on cabinets, I am getting there. You would not believe the backlog that I'm working through. So you'll have to just hold fire, be patient a little bit longer, because it will be worth it, I do promise. But I am getting there. I've got so much stuff to do and just not enough time. Just not enough time. I'm honestly, it's slammed at the moment. And people keep ringing me saying, can you, more work coming in. I told you September is busy time. It's all, you can almost guarantee it. 1st of September comes around, boom, phone starts ringing. Can you repair this? Can you repair that? I'm going out on the road again soon. I need all this sorting. Love it. Absolutely love it. But it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So that's haircut done on that one. The chassis is almost populated, so I can crack on with that one. And then basically I've got 4 Ainsley Sigs to build this month. 3 in October. Or was it 4 in October? Definitely 3 in November, and then 3 in December. And that's the end of the year. It's mad. It's crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. Plus all the other amp builds and stuff I've got to do as well. So I'm moaning, but I'm moaning because it's a good problem. I'm in my element here, right? I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it. I've just just trying to get it all done. It's amazing. Absolutely love it. Right, I must crack on and do the next job, which is the heaters on the dual Showman. Speaking of which, I am just, before I do the heaters, I'm just going to sort out this mains wiring. We've yet to find a 240 volt transformer, a main transformer for this unit. So we're going to have to wire it back as as 120 and put a US plug on it so he can use it with his step down, which is fine. He doesn't mind doing that. It's just, you see, I do have a 240 volt twin reverb transformer here that is going to go in my 100 watt basement build. But so there is that option. There is that option, but we're not going to fire that particular parts cannon just yet if we don't need to. So let me get all this done. Anyway, I'm just removing all of the old mains wiring from the amp. Sorry I haven't got picture-in-picture going. There's not really much to see. But I just want to make sure that all of this is nice and safe and good. We've done the bright cap, not bright cap, the death cap. And I can put all of this back together, and then I've still got to service the main board. I've got so much to do. It's crazy. What else have I got to do on this? Yeah, so that's that. Was I happy with all of this wiring? Yes, I was. So that's what I'm doing with this morning. We'll get this done. I will show you some of the work on the main board. But yeah, this is coming on quite nicely indeed. So let's get this heater wiring back in. I need to make sure it's all in phase as well. Some amps, your heater wiring makes very little difference in terms of noise, and other amplifiers, if you get your heater phasing wrong, you get so much hum. It's unbelievable. And so I just, as a matter of course, and I talked about this on the channel before, I just go through and make sure everything's in phase. And then you know it's good and it's done. And you haven't then got to worry about it. So that's what I do. And if you don't like it, tough. I think if you're not checking your heater phasing, you're not doing your job properly. But here comes the shouters in the comments. Right, so the old heater wiring on this, do you remember when we took it out? We did notice some of it was in very poor condition. I might try, once I just soldered that in place, I'll show you. It actually looks like it's had too much current flowing through it. Here it is. It's definitely discoloured. It's also quite dirty, and there is some broken insulation on it in quite a few places. I don't know if that's coming across. So I'm not going to reuse that. It would be not very professional of me, I think. So anyway, I need enough for, in fact, I'm going to take that run out as well. The run up to the dual light. I will just put all new in. We won't faff around. We're not going to mess around with any of it. We're just going to do it properly. We're going to get it right. There you go. That's that bit out. Just checking all these grounds. No, they don't look very good either. This is the problem with working on old amps, is that you just, once you spot one thing, you can't leave it. If it's not right, you can't leave it. And this is the other problem with servicing amps. If another tech's been in there and done something poor, you can't leave it because people might think that you did it. And, you know, reputation does matter. Because the next guy that looks in this amp will see that I've worked on it and go, well, we didn't do a very good job, even if it wasn't my work. You have to fix all those little issues, and it eats into your time. But if you don't do it, you're not doing your job properly. So I stand by it. I stand by my way of working. Right, that's that done. That's looking better. That is looking better. Let me show you. Let me bring up the other camera then and put you on screen, video mode. There you go. So there's the 4 sockets that I showed you in the other video. That one is now soldered back in, so I just need to do a loop from here to here, here to here, here to here, and then from here up to the dual light socket, and then do my heaters back in as well. Cool, you got that? That makes sense? Very good. Very, very good. And is there anything else I need to look at the same time? No, that all looks fine. Oh, actually, yes, there is. You see, this is what I mean. You spot a solder joint that looks awful and you think, I can't leave it. I have to touch it up. I have to make it good. The way it is. Right. Okay, let's get some heat. I need to twist some wire. Hold on. Sorry, Mrs. Rift is on the case. Yeah, we should. I've got my twisty wire here. Right. Okay. We'll get this done then, and then we will move on. Oh, sun's come out. Sun's come out. It was absolutely chucking it again this morning. Thankfully, it's cleared up. So we'll get this in. Twisty, twisty. And then we'll get this job done. Haven't even looked at the second 2-rock yet. So I need to get on with that one as well. Don't let me forget, you guys, because I will. Other bits and pieces as well that I need to get checked out, but if I don't make progress on the stuff that I've already got here half done, nothing ever gets done, does it? Right, okay. Over we go. That one. Right, update on the dual Showman. It has fired up. Well, I've redone, obviously, the heaters. New output sockets in, all done. Done the mains as well. Done the proper 3-prong conversion. Removed the death cap, wired it all properly. Fired it up with the original valves. Amazingly, the one that we thought was dead is actually okay. It's a little bit noisy, a little bit microphonic. You know, if you tap it, you can hear it. But as it's a head and it's not a combo, it's probably going to be okay. So we're going to leave it up to the owner whether he wants to put a match quad in. I think he doesn't because he wants to save himself some cash. So we'll see how that one goes. But I've got no concerns with it, to be honest. I'm currently waiting for him to come back to me about whether he wants me to spend more time going through servicing the rest of it, or whether he wants to just call it there and see how he gets on. There are a few crackles and pops and things, so whether he wants me to actually spend time doing that and working my way through those is up to him. Personally, for the time being, I wouldn't bother. I would take it out and gig it and use it and see how you get on, and if they get worse, then bring it back. But if they're fine as it is, and you can use it live as is his intention, then it's fine. I mean, it's no noisier than any old Fender, to be honest. It's not excessive. It's not bad. It's just, as with anything, you want to spend some time on it, some money on it, you can improve it. So we'll wait for Ollie to come back and see what he wants to do. That's good news, though. Very happy with it. Very happy indeed. Right, back on with the twin reverb whilst the dual Showman is burning in on the bench. We decided to go through and spend some extra time on it, and it's made a huge improvement. So I'll show you that shortly once it's finished its burning process. But I'm back on with the twin reverb. So the filter board is now done and back in, and now I'm looking at the insides of the chassis, and again just going through. Now a lot of this work often is nothing more than rectifying previous poor repair work, and you see it all the time, and there's always things that you go, well, if that solder joint was done properly, if that resistor was installed properly or the right value, if that wire was moved slightly, a lot of the noises and hums and crackles and pops go away. With an amp like this, which on first glance looks quite complicated, especially with all the spaghetti wiring, it can seem quite daunting, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that way at all. And so now I've done my filter board, and I know that's good. The next thing I look at is the bias supply. And there is this wonderful redrawn schematic by Del Refugio. Apologies for the pronunciation there. It's a lot easier to read and follow compared to the Fender one. That's not to say that the Fender one is difficult, it's just that this one is a much simpler way of understanding what's going on. So we've now done our B plus rail. So from this point over here, this is all done now, so we can tick that off. Now we're looking at our bias supply, which is a separate wire here. We've got a 1K resistor, then we've got our diode, and then we've got a 80 microfarad 75 volt cap. We then got a dropper resistor, a 3K3, and then another 80 microfarad 75 volt cap, which then goes up to our output tube matching pot and splits off to our output grids up here. Quite simple, quite easy, right? Not difficult. And what we had in this amp is a partial service previously of that bias supply. Now here it is. So here's our winding. It's a red wire with a blue stripe, and it comes in. Here's our 1K dropper here. Here is our diode. And then we had a cap going to ground here, the first cap that we saw. Now it should be 80 microfarad, 75 volt. And what the previous tech had done is put two radial caps, I should say, in parallel like that in its place. And he's used two 33s, which sum together for 66. So not quite the 80 that we need. And he's used 450 volt caps, so way over spec. Probably not a problem, but you know, these are Cheng X caps, and you know, in a vintage Fender, we like to give these amps a little bit more respect than that. So they have come out, and I'm just going through and desoldering this. Now I am tempted, and this is probably what I'm going to do, is I'm going to pull this board out just because I want to check the underside, check the condition of the underside. There's some quite poor solder joints here and here already. Some of these diodes are quite old, so I would like to test them. One thing that does happen, it's quite rare, but what does happen is as the diodes start to age out, the switching noise that you get increases. So maybe it's time to swap in all 7 diodes, the 6 in the rectifier circuit and the 1 in the bias supply, for some 1N4007s. Okay, yes, we could add some snubber caps across them. Often you don't need to, just fitting some 1N4007s in case of these old, even though these are nice RCA diodes, as they get older, their switching noise does increase, and you can hear that in the amplifier audio circuit. So I'm tempted to pull this board out and give it a good clean underneath. So we'll put another cap in here, and here's the one I'm going to use. This is one of the TAD caps. It's an 80 microfarad. This one's rated for 100 volts. Absolutely perfect. Remember, positive end to ground because it's a negative bias supply. So it's going to sit in there like that. Can you see? Sorry. Yes, you can. Now you can. And the other one, here's the 3K3 that comes over, and it's actually off the back of the pot here is the second cap. So that's where the second one is going to go. So that's what we need to do. And you can follow me along. So let's pull this board out. It's quite simple, really. That's your bias wire. Probably a 55 volt tap. disconnected. We'll just disconnect this one here as well. Out the way. The output from the rectifier board or the rectifier circuit to the main board here. We'll get that done. So it doesn't take very long to do this, right? And this is, oh, we've also got this ground here, which we will just wiggle out from underneath. That's all the wires disconnected. You see, it doesn't take long. So when you're servicing these amplifiers and you're saying, well, how do I do this job properly? How do I give the customer and the amplifier what they deserve? Quite often, some jobs take far less time than you would imagine, and therefore it's certainly worth doing. Let's see, that's the board out already. You see the underside of the board? Looks surprisingly clean, actually. Not bad, but we've got obviously quite large solder blobs there, which definitely could be improved. The underboard as well, there it is. I'll just mark with a pencil, if I can find one, all the way through there. Just put a tiny, tiny mark in it so I know which way is up. Like that. It's a tiny, tiny pencil mark. So I know it's going to go that way and not that way. And I can now go through and test all of these diodes. We're going to replace this resistor, put a new one in, make sure it's nice and neat. We're going to completely strip this board down like I did with the filter board. It's quite easy, quite simple. This is going to take me no more than 10 minutes. No more than 10 minutes. And then we can get this thing rebuilt and back in. And then we know we've got both a strong rectifier and bias supply to the amplifier. There you go, no time at all. I did tell you, didn't I? Easy peasy. So that's that board now redone, looking much better, and I am now confident in every component on that board. One, to be quiet, two, to perform as it should do. So the next step is obviously going to be this cap. Now, I have made a mistake. I don't have another 80 microfarad 100 volt in stock. I've got some incoming, but it's not with me, so I can't do that cap yet. Not to worry, I could temporarily solder something in its place, 100 microfarad, 100 volt, for example. I don't think I need to, because I'm not firing this amp up just yet. So that will get done, but don't worry about it. The next thing I need to do is look through the rest of the chassis and just do the obvious things first. Right, so you can see on the output valve sockets we've got two different types of screen stoppers here. All right, now technically that's not a problem, but it doesn't look right, it's not right. But also the 1K5s that are on the sockets, they're the ones that get a lot of heat soak and really crusty, so I want to change those out. So if I'm doing those, well, to get to those, I've got to pull the 470 ohm 1 watters off anyway. So I'm going to put a nice matched quad of resistors in. Get them all within 1 ohm of each other. Same with the 1K5s. Do a nice job of that. We'll check the cathode grounds as well whilst we're there. We can give the pins a good clean. So that's one obvious job. He also wants the output rewiring or hard wiring for 240 volt. That's easy. You just need to move one wire. Can do that no problem. Looking at the rest of the chassis, again, we're looking for problems and things that are not quite right. A couple of things I've noticed is most of the resistors on here from a visual inspection look okay, but we know that's often not the case. Yes, we could fire this thing up, use the freeze spray to find any noisy components. Often, by the time you've done that, it's just simply easier to replace, especially your plate resistors, put some low noise ones in anyway. So we can go through and do that. We're not doing a black panel conversion, so I'm not going to mess around with the phase inverter in the output stage. So he did say some of the controls were a bit crackly, so once we fire this thing up, we can check whether it's noisy potentiometers themselves or whether there's a DC leak somewhere, either from a capacitor or from a conductive board. Again, that's all part of the course and servicing, but I can't do any of that until I'm confident and firing this thing up. What I have noticed is the previous tech, as we've seen in other cases before, likes to use these radial caps for the 2525s. I'm going to pull all of those out and redo those. Any resistors on a board like this, because of the board's warp, and they warp in, you know, like a snake, any resistors which go that way along the board are often subject to quite a bit of stress. So it'd be this 100 ohm resistor here. We've got a 1K here. We've got a 12K there. And there's some others as well. Again, we'll just check those. I mean, there's some interesting joints up here. That resistor's been replaced. So again, it's just going through, it's seeing what has been done before, fixing poor quality previous work or work that is not up to standard, I think is a fair way of putting it. And just keep going through that process. Often with amplifiers like these, you fix one issue and you move on to the next and you move on to the next and you move on to the next. And it's only when you get to a point where there are no issues remaining that you can confidently say this amplifier is fixed. Often it's like chopping, you know, they chop off the Hydra's head and two more grow back in its place. And that's often what you find yourself doing with amps like this. It's just constantly, well, I fixed that and now there's this to do and now there's this to do and so on and so on. So it does take time, but that's why we love it, right? You're getting really stuck in. I want to show you a couple of these solder joints though, just while we're here, because why not, hey? So these two resistors have been replaced before, and look at the state of that solder joint there, that one there, this one here, that's not good. And if we come next door, that one as well. So easiest way to do that, these two resistors, they have been replaced before, so I don't expect them to be a problem, but I'm going to remove all the solder from these eyelets, reflow them, and whilst I'm doing that, I may as well test them just to make sure we've still got that they're still within valence. They are gold bands, so they are 5%ers, so we do need to confirm their tolerance, and you do that as you work your way down the board. This is Mrs. Riff's old touring amplifier, back when she was out on the road gigging all the time, trying to take the UK rock scene by storm. This was her amp, a DSL 50, and she picked it up really, really cheap, and she kept it for years and used it for years. It's got a lot of hours on it, and we never had any issues with it. I revalved it once. No, we did have an issue with it, right? The the mains transformer started buzzing. The lamination started to separate. So we stuck a new unit from Marshall in. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 2010 here maybe. I did that long time ago. And she took it out the road. It never suffered any bias drift issues or anything like that. It was unusually, for a DSL or a JCM 2000, a very reliable amp. Which actually, I say unusual, is probably the case. There's more out there which haven't got the problems than do. Anyway, she no longer plays live, no longer is in a band. So we sold this a good couple of years back to a local musician who's carried on using it live in his local band. And it now has developed a fault in which it turns on, but there is no output whatsoever, which is really, really interesting. So I want to get inside, I want to have a look. Even though it's an ex-Rift-owned amp, it's no longer my responsibility in terms of, under warranty or anything like that. It was sold years ago. It's been used loads. It's got loads of hours on it. But there is, obviously it's come in, so we're going to get this fixed for the customer. And I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. So first thing we'll do is check the mains fuse, which should be a 1.6 slow blow. And the fuse that's in it is a 1.6 slow blow, and it is intact. The fuse is intact. We can stick that back in. And whilst we're here, we'll check the HT fuse, which is a slow blow 500 milliamp, half an amp. It appears to be intact. And it is indeed a 500 milliamp. Let's get the multimeter, just in case. That's good. So that's fine. This amp's got reverb. Did all the DSLs have reverb? I can't remember. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Right. So let's get this thing on the test bench, fire it up and see what it does. Actually, before we do that, let's pull the chassis from the cabinet, shall we? I think this is a 2006, if I remember. Okay, JJs don't look like they're overheated. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gold label Marshall ECC 83s, probably Russian. Well, I can tell you now, when we sold it, it didn't have this level of surface rust on it. Okay. Right, reverb connections, red towards the back. Oh, would you look at that? There is a label, my writing, of the chassis EL34s, 30th of April 2013. And I measured the plate voltage and I biased them to 36 milliamps each side. God, is that how old they are? Or is that how old, or is that when it was last done? It's the last time I did it, obviously. I don't do that anymore. Right, I'm just going to pull these out for the time being. Zoom you out again so you can see what's going on. A little bit concerned by what looks like water staining here. I'll try and get you a better shot of it later, but let's spin this thing over and have a look inside. Right, here's inside. I've given it a visual and I cannot see anything obvious, anything that looks burnt, damaged, any liquid damage, anything like that. There are two fuses on the main board there, which are good. They're heater fuses. So there's nothing at the moment which would indicate that there is a problem with this. Now, it is very often to assume the worst, which is to say, right, well, the amp's not working, therefore it's got to be a transformer, it's got to be a this, that, and the other thing, when it's most likely going to be a simple problem, right? But it's also a really bad idea to assume that it is a simple problem, and you start to overlook other things as well. So I've got the compu bias hooked up, so we can check that the output valves are conducting. What we're going to do is, we're in restriction mode, so we'll turn the amp on and we'll see what happens. You can hear all the relays firing up. It's currently drawing 35 watts out the wall, which is kind of what we expect. I'm in restriction mode, so I've got the light bulb limiter in circuit up here. There it is. So as the amp starts to warm up, you'll see it start to glow slightly more. Glow more slightly. Slightly more slightly. You know what I mean. There you go, it's coming up now. So 35 watts out of the wall, 35.5, 36, that's about right. In restriction mode, it's a 100 watt bulb in series with the live. For those that don't know, an incandescent bulb like that, the filament, the more current you pull through it, the more its internal resistance increases, so it starts to limit current. That's why we call it a current limiting device. So I'm hooked up to 8 ohms. That seems nice and stable. I can see on the compu bias that we do have voltage on the anodes, and we do have current running through the valves. Ignore the mismatch for the time being, and ignore the low wattage. We're in restriction mode. As I go to full power, you'll see that jump up. There we go. So we do actually have a bit of a mismatch, but don't worry about that for the time being. We'll let everything come up to temperature properly and settle down. I'm currently running into my speaker. And what I'm going to do, I'm in the clean channel, the green channel. So I'm going to bring up the volume and the master. So presence on full, middle on full, and I can't hear anything coming out of the speaker. Come back down here. Hear nothing at all. The amp's pulling 80 watts out of the wall, and it seems to be nice and stable. Compu bias has come up, so we're now at 37 milliamps one side, 34 the other. That's your plate voltages, anode to cathode voltages. And so, you know, we're not perfectly matched, but we're close enough. We're within 5 milliamps, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, so it's had a bit longer to carry on warming up, and we're now within 2 milliamps or 1 milliamp of each other. It's just flickering between each side. So we've got a nice matched set of output valves. I'm going to show you what's going on the oscilloscope. So if I put my signal generator in, driving 8 ohms, this is the output of the clean channel. And there's something not quite right there, is there? Look at that. 640 millivolts RMS. So it's nothing. If I go to the red channel, again, the output very, very low. I mean, it's a 50 watt amp, so we should be getting 20 volts RMS output. Now, if both channels are down, that might indicate that there's a problem post where both channels mix. So a common one on these is the effects loop. So let's have a look at that. So first thing we'll do is we'll get some cleaner, some Servicol. And we'll just spray it into the send and return. So we now jumper the effects loop, and it has unfortunately made 0 difference. So it's not that. How are we going to diagnose this? What would you do? How would you say Well, what would your repair process be, your diagnostic workflow, to identify why we've got very low output on this amplifier that affects both channels? There's nothing here which is obvious as to what's going on. I'm thinking about first is the waveform, the output waveform, because we've definitely got a low and a high. So I'm going to start with the phase inverter. So I think for ease of everything, we're going to remove the phase inverter valve and we're just going to stick another 12AX7 into that position just to see if anything changes. Yes, we could do the signal tracing method, but I don't want to get into any of that just yet. I think we've got, oh, I can't see the socket. What have I done there? Okay, so replacing the phase inverter valve has made no difference. So we'll pull that one back out. We'll stick the original back in, and then we'll sub in one to the next position in the queue, in the chain. So we'll let that come up just to confirm. There it is. Still very low output. We'll do the next one. So that's now, so phase inverter is V4. Now we're doing V3. We're just doing some very, very basic, what's changed? What's going on? Does anything change when I do that? No. So we'll pull that one back out, put the original back in. Now we'll let it come back up again, and then we'll do V2. This process that I'm doing here, just replacing the valve one at a time with a known good, is something that you can do at home. Right, this is V2 now. The V2, no difference. No difference at V2. We'll pull that out again. Put the original back in. And we'll do V1. So this is a known good valve in V1. Does our output come back? No, it's all the same every time, look. So none of the preamp valves are at fault, which means I can now put the original back in, and that eliminates that problem, or that question. Now we have to do signal tracing, which I'm going to do shortly. Just having a look to see if I can see anything that I've missed. Nope. Okay, so I have, hello everyone, a slightly different camera setup, a different angle for you guys. I think it might be a little bit more interesting. I've still got the camera up here on the scope, as you can see, and I've been doing some signal tracing. So what that essentially means is you inject a signal into the front end of the amplifier, and then using an oscilloscope probe, you trace through the signal path all the way through until you find the point where your signal either disappears or starts to act up and be strange. So to do that, you require both the schematic, you require a copy of the schematic, and in this case I need the main board schematic, and I also need the separate breakout for the channel switching circuit, because there's a lot of interconnects between the boards. But I'll show you essentially what we found. What I found so far is that I am on the screen now. The yellow traces the output of the amplifier. So I can trace all the way through on both channels, all the way through, and I'll show you the input to the phase inverter. You can see our signal is strong. It's about 1 volt RMS, which is about right for the phase inverter. And that goes in, and then what comes out of the phase inverter, obviously split. You've got 2 signals now, and they go off to the output valves, which I will just, without getting an electric shock, probe onto there. And this is one side. So post phase inverter, post coupling cap, before the grid stopper, going into one output valve, that's the signal. And I'll just come across and show you the other one. There it is. So the signal going into both output valves is good and strong. Excellent, that's good news. which means everything up to that point in the amplifier is working as expected. Now we know from the CompuBias that the output valves are conducting. They are both quite well matched. In fact, once they both came up properly to temperature and settled down, they were within just 2 milliamps of each other. That's great. Voltage checks with a voltmeter confirm that the screen supply is intact, the bias supply is intact, and the anode voltages do match up with what the CompuBias says. So I've got no problem with that, but let me show you. I've demonstrated to you now that I have signal going into the output valves, but here's what's coming out. On one side, and bear in mind this is a class AB amplifier, and so the output sine wave isn't going to be showing the full 360 conduction. So on the white side, there's my output, and you can see that's 13.6 volts, and it's, even though it looks on the oscilloscope the same size as the yellow trace, which is measured at the output of the amplifier, it's a factor of multiple times larger. It's just that it's zoomed in. Look, I could demonstrate that to you. I could zoom it in. Right, okay, you get the idea. If we look at the other side, the purple side, definitely purple, which would be on V456, that's what we've got. We've got no output from that valve, which would explain what's going on. But I can see that that valve is conducting on the CompuBias. So do we suspect a valve problem, or do we suspect an output transformer problem? Right, so the easiest way for me to do this, just to confirm and just to eliminate that, would be to swap the two output valves around, see if the problem follows the valve or if it stays with the socket. If it stays with the socket, then we are most likely looking at a failed output transformer. So I'm going to do that now, turn the amplifier off. These have been screaming hot for quite a while, so I'm going to have to let it cool down. Once it's done that, I will come back. Okay, valve swapped. Amp is now, that's the two EL34s, the output valve swapped. Amp is now up and running again. You can see on the oscilloscope the sine wave is still odd and strange. The white side, and what I mean by that is the wires coming from the output transformer. One anode is fed by a white wire, the other is fed by a purple wire. So on the white side, this was the one that was working last time. Whoops. As you can see, it's still working. And the purple side is not. So it's not a valve problem. Okay, amplifier off. Discharge cable, because I need to make it safe. We'll just let that discharge. We'll get my voltmeter. So we definitely have one problem on the output side of the output valves. We have a problem on one side of the output transformer, post output valves, right? So I'm going to get my voltmeter in ohms mode. What I'm going to do is, from the center tap of my transformer to each plate, I'm going to measure the resistance. So to the white side, I'm getting 42.2 ohms. And to the purple side, the one we suspect is dead, I'm getting 40.4. Double check that again. 42.1. And 40.4, which seems correct. If I go across the two, they should sum together. 84 ohms. Now I'm confused. What's going on there? Let's just do a continuity check between the transformer and the anodes themselves. Yep, and the purple side. Yep. Now that is strange. I wasn't expecting that. So we've got no output from one side, from one EL34, and I can confirm that that is not appearing at the output transformer. But the output transformer itself appears to be measuring okay. What am I missing? Pull the white side off and the purple side. Let's do those measurements again, shall we? So, centre tap to purple. Ohms would help. Now I'm going to getting 1.8 ohms. Let's go to the white side, 42 ohms. Let's go back to the purple side, 1.8 ohms. So why, if I connect that back up, do the numbers change? Over to the purple side. $40 ohms. What? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Let's disconnect everything from the board. So the output transformer is now isolated from the board. Right, centre tap, which is blue to purple. 40.3 ohms, centre tap to white, 42.1. What? Let's connect up the purple side again, put that in circuit again, and let's redo those measurements. So the purple side connected now to centre tap, we get 40 ohms. 42 ohms to the other side. Let's connect up that anode. Sorry, I'm trying to work this one out in my head because I've got a short somewhere that I can't quite get my head around. Right, centre tap to purple, 40 ohms. Centre tap to white, 42 ohms. But that's with the output transformer disconnected from the centre tap isn't connected to the high voltage supply. So let's connect that back up and retake those measurements. 40.5 on one side, 42.3 in the other. I don't understand why I was only getting 1 ohm then. Was that an erroneous reading? Let's do it over here to the white side. 42, and to the purple side, 4 ohms. What? 4 ohms across the wire, if I go wire to wire, but if I come up here to the transformer itself, I get 40 ohms. Come back here, 24 ohms. You won't believe me. You won't believe me if I show you what's going on here. How can I demonstrate this to you so everyone can see at the same time exactly what's going on? Meter. Can you see that meter? Yes, you can. Okay. Blue is the centre tap and it's currently connected to the board. Between the centre tap on the board and the centre tap on the transformer, 0 ohms, correct. Okay. Let's do purple to purple. We've got the purple on the board, purple up here. We're looking for 0 ohms here. It should be a direct connection, which it is. And then we'll do blue to blue. No, white to white, sorry. Zero ohms. Right, okay. Do you see that? So for my centre tap, which is blue over here, my reading is going to go up the blue wire to the transformer, through the transformer winding, and then back along to the purple side, which is down here. And we read 26.6 ohms. So let's just measure the purple up here. Four ohms. Back to purple here. 10 ohms. Back to purple here. But now let's measure to blue, purple to blue at this end. Seven ohms. 8 ohms. Right. Blue to white, which is in the known good side. 42 ohms. And we'll confirm that by going from there to there. 42 ohms, and then over to here, 42 ohms. So the white side is good. There's no weird readings there. We'll do it again. Blue to blue should be 0. Correct. Blue to blue. Blue to purple on the transformer. 40 ohms. Blue to blue on the transformer. 1 ohm. What? Can anyone explain that to me? 40 ohms again now. Is there a broken connection in that winding? That's the only thing that I can think it can be, is that we've got a crap connection up here somewhere. So hear me out. If we're getting an intermittent connection, let's wiggle it while the amp's on. Let's do that. Back on the scope. There it is. Everything's connected up. It's all safe. Amp on. And we're going to need a chopstick. Ah, did you see it? The signal was there for a minute and then it disappeared. So, right, here's our crap signal. If I move these connections around, do we get anything? Does anything change? No. I genuinely cannot explain that. Sorry, I'm looking over here now. I can't give you a rationale as to what's going on there. Let's get the scope probe. On the white side, we should have output. There we do. On the purple side, we should have output, and we don't. I just don't understand that. Is the winding breaking down when it's got load going through it? Is that where we are? No signal running through the amp. The same currents running through it. Signal going through. The white side is good. The purple side is not. I don't understand that. I don't understand. Amplifier off. Discharge cable on. Multimeter on. And we'll do that measurement again. 0 ohms. Blue is center tap. Center tap to white. We'll let it settle. 42 ohms. Centre tap to purple. (1.3 ohms). Let's try again. 1.3 ohms. Okay, come off completely. Go back on. Centre tap to purple, just over an ohm. Right. Going to remove the red one, which was on the purple, and I'm going to connect it to the purple here. Should be the same measurement, which it is. Okay. Back to purple here. Sorry. (1.7 ohms) back here. (1.5 ohms). Okay, so it's fluctuating slightly. Now, I'm going to remove the blue connection, which is the black probe here on the left. See, look at it now. It's now saying 35. We wiggled it, and now we're back to 40. Wiggle it, 38. Now it's saying 40 ohms. I'm not making this up. It's definitely changing. Go over here. 40 ohms. So this side should be 42. And this side, 40 ohms. But you saw it. You saw me measure it. It measured 1.5 ohms. Let's get the discharge cable out of the way, just in case. 40 ohms. Let's go back over here. Blue on there. Purple on there. What is that doing? 8.3 back over here. And we're at low ohms again. Is it possible? Purple there. Let's disconnect that wire entirely and let's just measure across. So this purple wire was on this terminal here. So that's now removed. Blue. To there. I bet it will say 40. 12. Move that back that way. We get 40. Right, I'm going to try something. Let's get a test lead. Let's get a test lead onto blue. Test lead is on blue. Another test lead onto my purple terminal there. Right. 41.4 ohms. If I wiggle the blue, there, 7 ohms. Go back that way, 41. 13. It's definitely up this end. How can I confirm that? If I remove that blue one as well. So they're both out of circuit now. So I'm just measuring on the output transformer itself. 41.4. Let's get the chopstick. There you go. Look at that. 1.8. We have a faulty output transformer. God, that took us a long time to get there, didn't it? So, Can we get down there and have a look at it? It's this one here. Where's my chopstick gone? It's here. This one here. There's two wires down in there. It looks like on camera there's one, but there is a second one too, and it looks like no, they would be because it's just the two sides wrapped around that terminal. So the short must be. Is that it? Is that the short there? Is that? I really wish I could show you, but hopefully you can see that wire coming from this terminal block, and you can just see on the corner there. There's a glint. I wish I could get you down closer. Sorry, let me try. Stop moving. I think it's just shorting against that there. If can I move it? It might be the same wire. Right, should we try that one again? There's my 40.5 ohms, and if I move the terminal, does it drop out now? Go the other way? No, it does not. Yes, it does. There you go. Proof. We have two wires shorting there. Looks like that winding's come out ever so slightly. If I push on it, does it disappear? Back to our image. Wobble it. There you go. I think we've got a broken wire actually, and it's just, you know what we could do. So purple back on, blue back on. We're currently at 40.7. If I switch that to volts, turn the amp on, are we safe? We're safe. That's negligible. We have output. We have output. There it is, look, on the white. There it is. That's our output. It's there. And if I come in and move that thing, can we get it to drop out? No, it's currently fine. Man, that's crazy. There you go. It's gone again now. I was just wiggling it and it's gone. Can I get it back and wiggle it in the other direction? No. I think you've got... I don't think, I know. We have got ourselves a faulty output transformer. We're going to have to pull the transformer out to look, but I suspect the cost of one of those from Marshall is going to be cheaper than it would be to get it rewound and repaired. And I couldn't do it myself because I couldn't guarantee that repair. So it is an output transformer. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is insane. That's absolutely insane. Amp off. Well, I wasn't really expecting that. Hello, everyone. That is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like that before. I've never seen... So you can tell how shocked I am. I've never seen a output transformer with a fault just there, just like that. That winding failure, so close to the top of the winding as well. But you see how little movement it took to get it to fail again, and vibration will do that. So it's going to need a new output transformer. Wow. Wow. Right, let's get on to Marshall, find out how much they are. Well, it gets worse. I've just called Marshall. They don't have any on the shelf, so they can't get me one. Very, very interesting. He said all the older stuff they're not stocking parts for anymore or are not replenishing their stock. So we've got a couple of options online. Depending, and it's pretty much depending how much you want to spend. So the cheapest I can find is in Germany. I can order one from Germany, €73. I mean, that's a diagonal, that's a direct Marshall replacement. Or I can get an aftermarket one and get it wound. I'm going to have to talk to the owner, see what they want to do. But isn't that annoying? Isn't that really, really annoying? See, SOTA do one, and they want 255 quid for one of theirs. No chance. Mercury do one, but again, that'll be from the States. They want $200 plus shipping. Tunt Music in Germany. Are they Germany? I think so. Somewhere in Europe anyway. They've got the correct one. €73. Oh, article is no longer available. They're out of stock. Damn. Damn. So I think we're going to be looking at a rewind on that. Okay. Well, there you go. Can't do much about it now. So we'll have to leave that one here. I know the video's probably gone on far too long anyway, but really, really interesting diagnosis on that one. So we've ended up with, see, the issue was that intermittent winding, dropping in and out, which caused the problem. It was only when we started doing resistance checks that we spotted it. But what was interesting is that the signal wasn't dropping back in when the amp was playing until I really manipulated that terminal, right? So you may have got to that diagnosis quicker and easily said, yeah, it's an output transformer, but you wouldn't have known why. And I think that's a really important thing, is that you shouldn't just call a component faulty. You need to understand why it's faulty. What's the actual failure point? So the amp's definitely worth fixing. Definitely worth fixing. We don't have to write that thing off. A new output transformer and it's going to go again. So I'm going to go back to the customer, tell them what I found, offer some solutions, and then we will see where we end up. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. As always, please give this video a thumbs up. All of your comments and questions down below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. If you're feeling super generous like these guys have, why not join the channel? And I will catch you all at the next one. Right, I'm hoping that this comes across on camera well, and that you'll be able to see exactly what I want to show you. Here's the transformer removed from the amplifier. The top cap, the end belt is off. Diagonal D2504, that's the part number. And here's the that's the way it was sat in the chassis as you were looking at it, and it's this terminal down here. So we'll come and have a look, and we'll try and get you in as close as we can. So this is the terminal, and as you can see, there are two wires that come up, one from low down, and it comes up and it wraps around this terminal, which you know, by association is connected here. And then this one here returns over to here. Now this wire is a single wire that connects to this terminal, and look, hopefully you can see there is contact there, or it appears like there is contact. At least they're very close. Very, very close. And what I'm hoping well, you can see just how close they are. So what I'm hoping that I can manipulate them out of the way and maybe epoxy them in position or something like that so they're not touching. But what I can't tell at the moment, now they do go into different windings. I think they were just shorting together. If I just position those as far away from each other as possible, like that. Sorry, I've now moved them apart. I can't see a reason why. See, they're now separated. Why that would be an issue. So this would be incredible. The other question that I need to ask though is, why did they start touching together in the first place? Why has that become a thing? Tell you what, we'll go that way. We'll come that way. There's our 40 ohms. Right. You can't see. I need to put that side. So 40 at the moment, push it really hard one way, it's fine. Push it really hard the other, it drops down. Damn. I was really hoping that was it. So it must be, there must be an internal short as well, that it's not that wire. Let's try it one more time. There you go. It was worth a try. It really was, but that be the problem. Now, is there any other way can move that wire out so it doesn't short. Anyway, anything I can do? I don't think so. No. Never mind. Well, it was worth looking, but I mean, it's confirmed our diagnosis. Now, all I need, really, is a 50 watt output transformer, 3K 3 impedance, with 4, 8 and 16 ohm taps. And as long as it fits this pattern, which is which is 3 1/8 mounting that way by 2.5, that's rated for 50 watts, we can sub that in. One moment. Good old trusty Hammond. I was having a good look, and they do a unit, the 1750P, which they say is for JMP and JCM 800s, also JCM 900s, but looking at all the specs is exactly what we want. It's a 3K4 with 4, 8 and 16 ohm outputs, 50 watts. Look, the windings, 40 ohms and 41.5 ohms each side. That's exactly what we want. All the specs, and I'm just looking at the mounting dimensions. It's got all the correct terminals in the correct orientation. And so E to E was 3 1/8. Yep. And D is, oh, they're saying, well, D can't be more than E, can it? I think that's a mistake. Oh, sorry, D, 2.5 inches. There you go. Yeah, that's the answer. That's the one. They are available off the shelf, so I can get one ordered. It's going to cost me tiny bit more money, you know, a couple of pounds, hardly anything, versus getting something wound, but at least we'll get it quicker, and we know it's a good quality unit, and we'll get a warranty with it. So I think that's going to be the answer. Fit Hammond 1750P. It's going to be a direct drop-in. It's correct spec. Very, very, very excellent. That's what we're going to do. Thanks for watching.